Hey YouTube, this is PokeDad again, and today I've got a different kind of video for you. Today I'm going to talk about some of the competitive cards that we believe are going to rotate. My assumption is, and it may be incorrect, but my assumption is we're going to rotate starting at just XY base set and moving forward. So that means everything in the black and white from Boundaries Cross to Legendary Treasures is going to rotate if I'm correct, and I think most people feel that that's pretty much how it's going to go. So today I'm going to do part one of a 5-part series of cards that are going to be leaving the format, at least in competitive play. We'll talk a little bit about their implications, and I'll remind you what they do and why they were special, and then what this means for future decks. So getting started right along, we start off with one that maybe isn't as big a deal, but it was one that saw some play with Metacham decks just as right recently here with Primal Clash. It's Celebi EX. Its attack wasn't anything special, but it did have the time recall, which allowed you to, if you had an evolution, you could use an attack from a previous evolution. And so that worked really well with Metacham decks because you could smack your opponent for 20 with a strong energy, make it 40, muscle band or silver bangle, now you're at 60 or 70, and fighting stadium made it 80 or 90. And then you could do that twice because Metacham had the Omega Barrage attack, and you could knock out EXs with just one energy attachment. So Celebi EX was used in that. Of course, Shrine of Memories is now in play. I don't know. I don't think Metacham is going to probably survive. It's still semi-competitive, but I think most people have pretty much put that to the side. It still could be a good budget deck though for a casual, uh, casual game play. But Celebi is going to be rotating, so if you are going to look back at previous evolutions, then you'll now have to use Shrine of Memories. And if you've seen my Mega Rayquaza Dragon type, that's an example of a deck that uses the Shrine very, very effectively. So check that out. But Shrine of Memories will replace that. And so goodbye, Celebi. Next one is Blastoise. I do believe it was reprinted in Legendary Treasures, so if for some reason Legendary Treasures does survive the cut, this card might still be in here. But Blastoise was very popular because it allowed you to attach as many water energies as you wanted to your Pokemon. So if you had 5 energies in your hand, you could attach all 5. With energy retrieval, you could get energies back out. And then with superior energy retrieval, you could even get more back out. So Blastoise Deluge ability was just very strong. Matter of fact, he worked in tandem with Keldeo, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But anyway, the effect on this is it's going to make water decks not quite as quick in their ability to charge up their Pokemon. So I can see that Primal Kyogre didn't really use Blastoise anyway. I know some people used Archie's Ace in the Hole to get Blastoise out on turn 1, but as far as I can see, there's not a whole lot of decks using that, except maybe the Keldeo deck, and I have seen a Mega Blastoise deck use it, but for the most part, it's not being used as much as it was. So we'll say goodbye, Blastoise. Now there are other ways to accelerate energy. One of those being the Togekiss. I'm not sure how often it's going to be used, and it's still kind of quirky because you get to look at the top 8 cards, and in that top 8 cards may be 0 energy, or you may get 4 or 5 energies. So anyway, that's kind of your substitute now for Blastoise. Dusknoir was a very excellent card, especially for decks that use spread damage. If you could get a lot of damage on the field, then Dusknoir could finish off by using his ability Sinister Hand and moving those damage counters to wherever you needed. In fact, it was being used pretty successfully even in Mega Gallade decks that we just recently got, because with Mega Gallade you spread a lot of energy, and then you can use Dusknoir to just use Sinister Hand and spread the damage counters to wherever, knocking out Shamans and knocking out stuff on the bench that had low HP and taking multiple prize cards. Dusknoir is going to be rotating. However, we have a similar player that's available. It doesn't have an ability, but it does have an attack, and it's just one energy, psychic energy. That is Meowstic. It's also only a stage 1, so Meowstic will probably take the place of Dusknoir. And in fact, I've used decks like Gourgeist with spread damage and Meowstic very successfully. So I don't think Dusknoir is going to be missed too much, but you should, if you see spread damage decks, you'll probably see a rise of Meowstic being played in those decks. Skyla is going to be one of our supporters that are rotating. I don't think she's going to be missed too much, but in her time she was very effective, being able to grab any trainer card you needed. So if you needed to grab another supporter for next turn, she could do that for you. If you needed a stadium, she could do that for you. If you needed a certain item card or energy, she was there. So she could pretty much fill in any need. If you needed to get a Professor's Letter to get an energy drop, she could grab Professor's Letter. If you needed to get a particular Pokemon out, grab Ultra Ball. If you needed that stadium, whatever it was, to counter your opponent's stadium, that was there. And then grab Sycamore. So a very versatile card. However, I think because we're playing Trainer's Mill now, and most people are playing multiple copies of those, even though it's not going to be able to get the exact cards you need, more times than not, being able to look at the top 4 cards of your deck are going to get you a card that will help you. So I believe Trainer's Mill is going to kind of be the replacement for Skyla. Computer Search. Now this is our first ace spec, and there were several ace specs in this set, but this one was really the only one worthy of getting attention. Computer Search is probably arguably the best ace spec there was, and ace specs being in general just going to be rotating, it'll be deeply missed. You basically discard 2 cards and you draw whatever card you want. So if you need an energy, grab it. If you need a supporter, grab it. Whatever you need, Pokemon, grab it. And so Computer Search is going to rotate. There's not going to be any replacement for it because all the ace specs are going to rotate. That leads us to 2 of EX's. Keldeo EX has the Russian ability, so you could put a Floatstone on Keldeo and rush in and retreat, and basically you could keep any status conditions from harming your active Pokemon. It's been used extremely well in metal decks, allowing Bronzong to Metal Links to your active. Let's say you have Dialga EX, you use Full Metal Impact, hit for 150, but you have to discard 2 energies. Keldeo would just rush in, which would allow Dialga to go back to the bench, and Bronzong would just Metal Links 2 energies back. Then Keldeo would retreat, and Dialga would be ready to hit for 150 the next turn. Very useful card there. Also, let's not forget its attack. It had 3 colorless, and it hit for 50 damage, but for each water attached, it would hit for another 20. So with Blastoise, you could put multiple energies, more than just 3. You could have 5. I've even seen like 8, 10 energies on him at one time. So you could be easily hitting for over 200 and getting one-hit knockouts. Now it does require a lot of energy, but with Blastoise and Superior Energy Retrieval, you could always just get those energies back later. So Keldeo will be sorely missed, but I think for new players, they're going to be happy that Keldeo is rotating, because it is kind of one of those cards that you wish you had, but if you didn't get in early enough and don't have it, you kind of feel like you're at a disadvantage. So goodbye, Keldeo. And then finally, Landorus EX didn't really hit its stride. I mean, it was used, but not used solely in a deck until pretty much it hit Phantom Forces. And, well, I should say Furious Fist and Phantom Forces made Landorus really strong. Furious Fist brought strong energy and Fighting Stadium. Uh, and so with a Muscle Band and a strong energy, now you're hitting 30, 50, 70 out of Fighting Stadium. You could hit for 90 for one energy and hit 30 to the bench. And this teamed up with Bats, making Landorus a very quick attacker, making him very hard to I mean, if you weren't fast, he could not run through your deck very quickly. And so Lando Bats was created. I think now Landorus has other people coming to take his place. I think Machamp EX, though isn't going to be able to hit the bench, is going to be pretty menacing and going to be pretty strong in its own right. So I guess Landorus EX will pass the baton off to Machamp EX, and we will say goodbye to Landorus. So anyway, guys, that is the cards that will be moving on from Boundaries Crossed. I'll have part 2 talking about the plasmas and legendary, part 2, 3, 4, and 5 with the plasmas and legendary treasures coming up very shortly. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.